There is probable cause to hold Trump administration officials in criminal contempt of court. That's according to this 46-page ruling from a federal judge that was just released a short time ago. Now, this all has to do with those deportation flights full of migrants that took off from the United States in mid-March, headed for El Salvador. In today's ruling, the judge wrote, "The court ultimately determines that the government's actions on that day demonstrate a willful disregard for its order, sufficient for the court to conclude that probable cause exists to find the government in criminal contempt. The court does not reach such conclusion lightly or hastily. Indeed, it has given defendants, the Trump administration, ample opportunity to rectify or explain their actions. None of their responses has been satisfactory." Now, President Trump has been arguing that he has the power to round up people and just deport them under this very obscure law from 1798 called the Alien Enemies Act. As I reported at the time, that law only had been invoked 3 times in the entire history of the United States. All 3 of those times, the United States was clearly at war, which is what the law requires. Obviously, the administration was sued over the use of that law as justification to deport these migrants. The case got in front of Washington, D.C. District Court Judge James Boasberg, and at the very same time as that hearing was taking place, those planes were taking off. That happened on March 15th, and Judge Boasberg immediately issued a temporary restraining order saying the Trump administration needed to immediately stop those planes from taking off or turn those planes around if they were already in the air so he could figure out what was going on. The Trump administration did not do any of that. Ultimately, the Trump administration appealed Judge Boasberg's decision, and in the end, as I reported in this video, the Supreme Court ruled that Judge Boasberg's order was not valid. Not because he was wrong to order the Trump administration to turn the planes around, but because the justices said the plaintiffs who originally sued the Trump administration should have sued him in Texas, where the migrants were being held, not in Washington, D.C. The Supreme Court also clearly stated in their ruling that these migrants absolutely were entitled to due process, and the federal courts absolutely have the right to review the Trump administration's actions. So you're probably thinking, well, if the Supreme Court has already overturned Judge Boasberg's order and pulled the case out of his courtroom, how could he just now say there's probable cause to hold the Trump administration in contempt of court? Well, Judge Boasberg knew you would ask that question, and he responds by saying, "The Constitution does not tolerate willful disobedience of judicial orders, especially by officials of a coordinate branch who have sworn an oath to uphold it. To permit such officials to freely annul the judgments of the courts of the United States would not just destroy the rights acquired under those judgments, it would make a solemn mockery of the Constitution itself." Judge Boasberg is saying that our justice system is built on the idea that an order from a judge must be obeyed, whether you like it or not, whether the order will ultimately stand or not. A co-equal branch of government specifically can't just disregard an order because they don't like it. If they don't like it, we have a process for that. It's called the appeals process. Judge Boasberg went on to say, if a party chooses to disobey the order rather than wait for it to be reversed through the judicial process, such disobedience is punishable as contempt, notwithstanding any later revealed deficiencies in the order. Side note, on top of the fact that the Trump administration, as Judge Boasberg says, blatantly defied his order, he's especially pissed off that high-level Trump officials like Secretary of State Marco Rubio seem to openly mock him. Judge Boasberg's order today specifically refers to this post on X from Secretary Rubio, which was a repost from President Bukele of El Salvador about Judge Boasberg's original order to turn the planes around, along with the words, "Oopsie, too late," with a laughing emoji. So what's next? Well, Judge Boasberg is giving the Trump administration an opportunity to remedy their disobedience by either getting custody of the people who the Trump administration deported to El Salvador's mega prison so that they can have their due process rights, or the Trump administration can propose some other method of compliance that would satisfy Judge Boasberg. And if they do not, Judge Boasberg will start identifying Trump administration officials specifically who he holds responsible for disobeying his order, and he says there will be criminal contempt hearings for them. The Trump administration has already said they plan to immediately appeal Judge Boasberg's ruling today.